Every now and then a car comes to the market which is not just new but also a breakthrough. This was the case with Golf for Volkswagen, and for Peugeot it was the 205. Produced for 15 years, the 205 refreshed the French brand's conservative image. The French supermini has many fans around the world to this day, and the sporty GTI variant has a cult status.
Fast forward 3 generations and we have Peugeot 208. The car debuted in 2012 and it was recently given a facelift. The 208 was the first model to showcase Peugeot's new cockpit design with a small steering wheel and the instrument cluster mounted above, high on top of the dashboard. And a Polish bloke called Adam Bazydło is responsible for that.
Designing the 208, engineers tried to make the car lighter. The supermini is 7 cm shorter than the 207 it replaces, and on average, over 100 kg lighter. But despite smaller exterior dimensions, there is 5 cm more for passengers inside, and the boot is 15 liters bigger. At 285 liters, it's comparable to Toyota Yaris. The boot finishing is the only thing that lets down the 208, but the closer to the front, the better.
In the front, as I mentioned earlier, there's this instrument cluster raised above the steering wheel. There are also a couple of cup holders, which won't really hold any cups or anything bigger for that matter, because that will obstruct the air conditioning panel. There is an armrest without adjustment, so it's either like that or like that. And inside there is a place for a smartphone, as long as it's not very big, because if it's too wide, it might not fit. Speaking of smartphones, there is also a strange cubby down here. I don't know what it's for. It's next to the 12-volt socket, the USB port, and a 3.5mm jack socket.
The infotainment system takes some getting used to. There are a couple of irritating details, like for example confirming every choice with an extra click. Or I just can't adjust the brightness of ambient lighting in the panoramic roof. It's either off or annoyingly bright, especially when you're out of the city and there are no streetlights. In 2015, Peugeot 208 underwent a facelift. One of the changes is introduction of the active city brake system, which mitigates collisions in city traffic at speeds up to 30 km per hour. It is an option available on top-spec models. On the outside, we have new headlights, new grille and new front bumper. In the back, there are new LED tail lamps, and the engine range is now down to 3-cylinder, 1-liter and 1.2-liter petrols, as well as a 4-cylinder 1.6 diesel. Power ranges between 68 and 110 horsepower.
This test example is powered by a 3-cylinder turbocharged 1.2-liter petrol engine producing 110 horsepower, which is quite a lot for a small engine like that. And it pulls. You can have it with a 6-speed automatic or a 5-speed manual. A 5-speed manual, you say? Ew, you can have a Mazda 2 with a 6-speed gearbox when it's got 115 horsepower. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. This gearbox here, the 5-speed shifter, it's not as bad as one would expect from a French car. I mean, it's not the smoothest or the most precise, but it's good enough. Many people wonder what's going to happen to these small turbocharged engines when they do 100,000 or 200,000 kilometers, whether they're going to fall apart or something. Well, I think it all depends on how you use it. I mean, if you're going to rev it all the time like crazy and then just shut it off, yeah, the turbocharger is bound to go wrong. But under normal circumstances, there's really no reason for you to go above 3,000 RPM. This engine is really very flexible and it pulls down from low revs. Also, the gearing is quite long, so you don't feel that the 6th gear is missing. Peugeot claims this car should do around 5 liters per 100 kilometers in the combined cycle. I'm getting more than 6. 6.2 at the moment, 6.5 earlier on today. With this engine, it is difficult to go easy on the throttle. It is a nice and fun little engine. So what about the instrument cluster, which is above the steering wheel? I can see it above the steering wheel. Is it really that much of a difference? Is the visibility better because of it? Do I focus more on the road? you know what, as far as I'm concerned, it's just another marketing gimmick, and I think it could potentially scare some people off. I keep hearing from people who go into a Peugeot dealership and they sit here and say, oh no, the steering wheel is too low, there's something wrong with it. I'll let you on a little secret. This steering wheel is at exactly the same level like a normal steering wheel. See, this is the center. It's here like in any other car. Check in your car, where's the center of your steering? Probably somewhere at your chest level. It seems like it's lower because the whole steering wheel is smaller. And I actually like the fact that it's smaller because, first of all, steering in this car is very direct, very precise, and with this tiny steering wheel, the car feels more go-karty. I think that's the best expression here. It's fun to drive. I like what they did here, but I don't expect you to like it. Not straight away anyway. I got into the 208 straight from a Mazda 2, in which I sat noticeably lower than in a Peugeot. So if you like to sit up high, the Peugeot may be the right car for you. The suspension soaks up the bumps nicely. It's not too hard, maybe slightly too soft for the steering, but generally comfortable if the roads are bumpy. But what this car could use is better lateral support in the seats, because on sharper corners I heard my passengers complaining that they were just going left and right. There are a couple of irritating things about the Peugeot 208, like this bit of plastic here next to the wing mirrors. It's as if the whole car was designed, signed off for production, and then someone said, "Mon Dieu, we forgot the mirrors! Where do we? Oh yeah, we will attach them here and put a piece of plastic and everything is gonna be fine. Nobody's gonna notice." Well, I did. Another annoying thing is the stop and start system, which should be seamless. You shouldn't really notice it. But here, when it shuts the engine down, the whole car goes like... And then when it wakes up, it's just not very pleasant. It shouldn't do that. Prices of the facelifted Peugeot 208 start at about 12,500 euros for a 3-door model. This 5-door Allure version with 110 horsepower petrol engine costs around 20,000 euro. Peugeot 208 looks good, it's fun to drive, and it's cheaper than, for example, its Japanese competitors. It's got a few quirks, I grant you that, but it's also about 2 grand cheaper than a Mazda 2, so one can turn a blind eye to some minor inconveniences. And what's your favorite Super Mini? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet, because if you have, thumbs up to you. And yeah, why don't you give me a thumbs up as well? Also, don't forget to share my reviews with your friends. New episodes every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, which may be next week or as soon as you click one of my other videos here and there.